Hey everybody, and welcome to Stock Abilities. In this video, I'm going to be covering common Robinhood problems and questions that might happen and issues and fixes into 2020, 2021, and beyond that can help you to solve them rather than contacting customer support, so on and so forth. A lot of these I'm going to cover some of the basics of a lot of the most common questions, a lot of most common problems, and quick fixes, things like that. I cover the most important fix at the end of this video, so make sure to watch the whole entire video to get all of the impact of this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to comment below your own problems and experiences with Robinhood and its platform. But we're going to jump right in here. Apparently, according to Reddit, one of the most common problems that you're going to experience is margin calls being incorrectly applied on Robinhood Gold. And you're thinking, well, what's a margin call? It's not literal butter, but if you're not familiar with what a margin call, it's essentially that you're getting called out to add funds to your account because essentially you're borrowing money on margin. When you spend that money above a certain point, you usually have to pay out and fund your account to cover that margin aspect. Depending on the broker, Robinhood in general, maybe a little bit more flexible than other brokers, but you're still borrowing that monies. So when you get a margin call, you're going to have to cover that monies. But sometimes Robinhood glitches and says you filled on this or that, and you might get margin called for no apparent reason. This is apparently a common thing. If you feel that you were in the right or whatever, you contact Robinhood customer support. Unfortunately, they don't have a phone number, so you have to contact them via email. Getting into the next one here, account being marked as a pattern day trader. You're thinking patterns, I don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. But essentially, a pattern day trader represents that you're over trading basically on your margin account. You can only do 3 day trades in a 5-day window. If you do more than that, you essentially become a pattern day trader. So if you trade one stock, you sell it, and you trade again on the same day, reutilizing those same margin funds, you're going to get marked as a pattern day trader if you do this more than 3 times a week. This is just literal law. You can't get around it by switching to another broker. Now, you can sort of get around it with a cash account, but that's something totally different, and I'll cover that in another video if you guys are interested. Another common one here is options questions, including options being exercised or missing premiums. You're only going to get exercised on an option assuming that you're in the money when you buy that option and it's on that exercise date. You don't have to worry about exercise in any other scenario unless you are selling calls or selling puts, in which case you can get exercised at any point when basically the person that wants to exercise can exercise that option at any point once it hits in the money. And in the money is once it hits above that strike price. So if you are basically at, let's say, on $100 strike price and it goes to $100.01, the person that bought that sold call from you can exercise at any point for that premium value, and you'll have to pay out. That's the risk you take with options. In regards to if you're just buying options, buying calls, and buying puts, you can't ever really, be forced to exercise and play the position and add those shares to your account simply because you're not really buying it at that time. You're buying the potential or the interest to buy 100 shares per contract, but you can sell and flip that premium at any point. You do not have to hold it until the exercise date and actually exercise the option. Next one here. App is not working properly during high volume trading times. Options not filling as expected, including on options. Discrepancies, all this kind of stuff. High volume is high volume, but Robinhood's getting to be a rather large broker, and at this point, they're still having these difficulties. And even though larger brokers have these difficulties as well, it just seems that Robinhood crashes more often than the other ones. You're relying on a phone app. You're relying on a website that's not even super reliable. Robinhood is one of the few brokers that I've ever heard being down for a literal 24-hour span. Sometimes a broker is down for an hour or two, or sometimes they have a limited, viability utilization or whatever. But Robinhood's been down numerous times for whole days at a time. This is not a broker that you want to stay with, but if you do, that's just part of being a Robinhood user. Discrepancies and delay on the data. So sometimes brokers do have a 1 to 15-minute window of delay. Robinhood just has bad charting. They try to improve it. It's still not that much better. There is still discrepancies on what the price is comparative to, looking at another broker. It might show something different. Depending on pre-market and after hours, sometimes those prices get even more wonky. So it all depends on what time you're looking at it. In most cases, it's fairly accurate, but there's still a little bit of a discrepancy, which can cause some issues when you want to buy and sell quickly. So if you're a day trader, that can be an issue. If you're a swing trader or a long trader, not that much of a difference. I'd personally recommend, if you want to continue to use the Robinhood platform, to use something like Thinkorswim with that platform. Thinkorswim is from TD Ameritrade. It's completely free, much better charting, much more reliable in that kind of data. Wash sale questions. Now, you're thinking, well, what exactly is a wash sale? And no, it's not a woman in a business suit. It is basically you're losing a security, losing security to claim a capital loss, only to repurchase it later. So essentially, you're repurchasing the same security, repurchasing the same stock or a similar stock in that range, and sometimes that causes a tax issue. Not so much on a day-to-day trade or a week-to-week or month-to-month. There's mainly two different types of traders, or three different ones. There's a day trader, there's a swing trader, and there's a long-term trader. Day traders that are more aggressive and reselling and rebuying certain assets. Swing traders is a very similar case. They might not be able to take and claim a certain sale and actually, get a discount on their taxes. That gets very complicated. The short answer is that if you are buying and selling and flipping a lot with day trading, you may incur multiple wash sales, and on your taxes, you might end up owing more on your taxes or less on your taxes, depending on the particular securities that you own. It's very complicated. If you guys want to have that in another video where I talk about it, make sure to leave that in the comments below. But the short answer is it's just more of a tax-related thing. In most cases, it's not going to affect a lot of you unless you're trading with hundreds and thousands of dollars. Another one here. How to transfer funds from Robinhood to another brokerage accounts. This is a pretty straightforward process. You simply contact them in email. You contact them in support. You contact whichever broker you're switching to. Most of them will handle the transfer of funds on their own. There's specific spots that you can request it through the account part of your section there on the Robinhood app. I'm not entirely sure if you could do that on the website. I'm sure you can. Probably a very similar process. In the end of the day, though, if you want to switch and transfer your funds, you simply contact the given broker that you're planning on switching and moving those funds to. You give them all the information they request, like account numbers, all whatever kind of stuff that they need in order to transfer those funds to that other account. And then, of course, there's transfer fees. Fees can differ depending on the brokers. And sometimes it's cheaper to transfer from one broker to another as compared to the original one, back and forth. It's a little bit bobble and bobble. Now, I promised you guys the most important step that you can follow to utilize for the Robinhood platform. This is probably one of the best features that it has on the entire app, and that is the uninstall button, because Robinhood has so many problems that you shouldn't be continuing to utilize this platform. There's been issues day after day, week after week, month after month. Almost every year there's been issues since they started. And, most companies, they tend to start off a little bit blah, and then they get better over time. But Robinhood, year after year, seems to be getting worse over time. They're adding more features, but as they add more features, they're creating more bugs. And those bugs, they don't seem to be bothering to fix to any reasonable degree. Some brokers I'd recommend as alternatives. Tastyworks does options trading. It's only $1 contract, which is relatively nothing if you're scalping for $10 to $50. You pay $1, you still get that quality customer service. Tastyworks has a 1 minute response time, basically, from my experience. You call them up, you get connected to them on the phone within a minute. Email is up to 24 hours. They're running a promo right now. If you guys want to check it out, in the description below, there's a link. If you deposit $2,000, you get 100 shares of free monies, basically, but you got to hold that 2,000 in there for X number of days. You can read all that in the description below if you'd like. And then the other one here is Webull. Webull is, yeah, a lot of people are probably familiar with Webull at this point, but essentially it's a reskinned Robinhood, but they don't have as many problems as Robinhood experiences. So this is something that you can consider for your future. Robinhood is always been gonna have problems. They're even IPOing soon, and all these kind of things are happening all at once. So you got to think to yourself: is this a broker that you want to stick with? They have continual problems week after week, month after month, day after day. This is not a broker that you should consider staying with. But if you do, I mean, here's all the little common problems and issues. If you have any other common problems and issues with the Robinhood platform, feel free to leave them in the description or the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, if you want more content like this. I'll try to, over time, in the next weeks, months, so on and so forth, update this list in the description below for those that want to follow along in regards to, different common problems, and then maybe I'll link to some resources and stuff of those problems that I haven't really addressed in this video. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later, guys. Have a nice day, and see you later. As I said like 10 times. Adios.